Hello and welcome. My name is Frans de Leij. I'm your host today. I'm the Customer Relations Manager within Team Hoynck. And as you can see, we're sitting here in a corona-proof environment. As we mentioned before and earlier, we've all been tested before we entered this premises today. As you can see, I have two guests with me here today, and we have one guest who is joining us virtually from Italy. And okay, who do we have with us today? In order to find that out, we're going to have those guests introduce themselves very shortly, so we will proceed. So, Sandra, would you start first?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Sandra Baan. I'm CEO of IBI, an Institute of Sustainable Transitions and Sustainable Development, actually. So we are building a lot of innovations, and we are actually a quite group, 35 people who are working of the principles of the blue economy worldwide.
Oh, okay. And who is this gentleman?
My name is Eric, and I'm within the company Hoynck for 8 years now. I'm a project manager, and that basically means that I work very closely with our customers in terms of our project preparation. And internally, I'm the most involved in this sustainable topic because I'm working right now at this moment very closely with a client on this topic. And that made us think as well. And we believe now at Hoynck that being and acting sustainable is getting more and more important. And therefore we started to investigate together with Sandra how we could respond to this and how we could adapt our strategy internally and also our development goals. So before it's too late. So I'm glad that we are here together and can chat about it. So.
Perfect. Okay, then from Italy we have Umberto. Morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm Umberto Bianchi. I come from Solvay. I work from Solvay. I'm a group communication branded identity manager. And I'm very pleased to be here today to discuss about such an interesting topic, which is sustainability, which is, let's say, as I'd like to say, also the North Star from our company. We're a chemical company, which is, I like to think, being the mother of all industries. And so I think it has a very important and relevant role into this path towards a better world and the sustainability-driven world and industry.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, this roundtable discussion, well, actually it's more a lounge discussion than a roundtable. We have two small round tables. This is one of the many possibilities that you can explore in today's platform. So Umberto mentioned it already. What is today's topic? So today's topic is sustainability. And that is a very interesting topic, as we all know. So hopefully we will learn more today about the diversity of this topic, because everybody has a different interpretation of it. Everybody, let's say, looks to it from a different angle, just like our three guests probably. So leading for today is, what can the event industry expect in relation to sustainability in the coming years? Before we, let's say, go into discussions, I would like to ask Sandra to explain to us a little bit of the, let's say, basic information that we need in order to get acquainted with the sustainability, but order to make it more understandable for us. So maybe you want to do that, Sandra.
Yeah. Well, actually what happened in the last few years is that we are getting in a kind of turbulence system worldwide. Everybody knows that climate change and all the sustainable problems which we have for this moment, so bad chemicals, bad systems, bad business cases, a lot of capitalism which is not necessary. We are using much more products which we actually don't need, which throw away a lot of waste, etc., etc. So therefore, already in the 70s, the Club of Rome mentioned it at the United Nations, and therefore they made the group which developed actually the blue economy by Günter Pauli. He's a Vlaming, he's from Belgium, and he was on the baseline together with a lot of scientists to write the book of the blue economy and to find out that we need different thoughts to develop a more sustainable world. And of course, we saw that we have to act on a different level. So therefore, they developed actually a holistic way of looking.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2015, I think it was, that the Sustainable Development Goals was been launched by the United Nations. And actually, they made 17 different goals.
Mm-hmm.
So these 17 different goals mentioned actually a very dominant problem in our completely world. So every country has to deal with these problems. So even when we are talking about poverty, sometimes we talk about gender equality, we talk about sustainable economics, we have to change all together. Even when we are talking about rich countries, which are much more difficult, instead of the countries like Africa, of islands, which are much more competitive to change. So therefore, actually we started also together with this worldwide group to adapt the Sustainable Development Goals. So we have 17 of these. And in that case, you can choose as a company what you want to be. So everybody is free to do that. And we see that it's a kind of norm which is starting now. So everybody is choosing from the 17 which are fits good to his company, and make their strategy on that and try to perform like that. Because the lowest consumer, which we see, who is the lifestyle of health and sustainability consumer, has a different mindset. He is expecting that we are being transparent against the customers. We are transparent against the consumers. We see that everybody wants to know exactly what is my impact, which I'm let's say, regenerating or generating by producing a certain kind of product.
Yeah.
So it's a completely new discussion, and it has a huge impact on our emotions at one side. At the other hand, you see also that there is no way back. Everybody has to confirm himself about that.
Yeah, I think we're all more and more confronted with it in our business life, in our normal life. So and I think it's a very wide aspect as well, and that's why I thought, okay, it's interesting to get some information to that. So Umberto, what is, let's say, one of your I would say maybe it's a question, but that you would like to put on the table here?
But one point, and I echo and I like very much what I just heard about sustainability, and I believe this is exactly the directions that also in our company we are taking. We are all responsible about that. But one of the points, since we are here talking about the event industry, how we can improve it, and we know that, at least from my perspective, I'm in communication, and event and communication through event is something so important. Understanding how we can measure, let's say, the footprint of all the activities within the industry, how we can really make sure that all our operations are under scrutiny, and we can understand really all the small improvements we can make to make sure that we can reach a true sustainable, let's say, way of acting and reach all together our goals. So this, for me, the measurement, it is something which is very important. We can bring the transparency, which I just heard, is something that we need to bring forward.
Yeah.
Well, a huge thing is that, absolutely, because this footprint, scientifically mention it, when you need so many details. And I think Eric can talk about that as well, because we are right in a situation with a customer from Hoynck. The thing is that with the carbon footprint which you have to measure, you have to calculate all your transport, and that means the transport from the beginning, from the origin of the product, so the raw materials based, where it comes from, the energy, what it used to get in production.
Mhm.
After that, you need the whole chain, because every step in the chain has to measure his transport and all the energy which is allied to that. So that means that when you start to calculate your CO2 footprint, you have to be aware of the fact that you cannot do it only by yourself. You need all your chain, all your partners in this chain to convince yourself and to be a part of that and to help each other to make this calculation.
Yeah.
Besides that, every movement you have to notice down. So you see that a lot of people are filling out now this Excel sheets, but you have to be aware of the fact which kind of impact you are mentioning through this, let's say, energy cost, so the movements and all the transport costs. So, well, that means that actually when you are organizing an event and you are bring this plastic cups for drinking water out of that, you have to calculate the weight of this plastic cups as well. So that's a lot of to do, and we see that there are a lot of problems on this moment also between to look for apples by apples and not apples by pears. So that's the big question, and it's absolutely not an easy job.
That's really important what you said, comparing apples with apples, because I have a customer right now, as I explained earlier, who is attending to a trade fair, and this CO2 footprint is really a big part of their final decision in if they are going to that show, in what configuration. So that's really hard, because we are finding the right suppliers for it, and you have all those suppliers you have to put in the right direction, and only then you can compare apples with apples.
So the awareness has to be there for everybody, and that's why I think it's important that, let's say, we all understand everything in order to cooperate, because that is something which is important. As you just said, that's what you need in order to come up with some kind of a figure in the end, no?
Yeah, and for instance, by definition, a trade fair is not really sustainable. I mean, there is a lot of transport involved, of materials, of people. You have a lot of waste. So we are trying to be ahead of it and help in ways to be more sustainable.
Yeah.
For instance, I got this from a venue in Madrid. So it's called a Guideline to Sustainable Participation in Fairs. And it's a big document of 35 pages. And you see that they do recommendations about how you can handle waste, use of more bio-based materials that are more sustainable, transport of certain elements of people, etc. So I think that's a really good step in the right direction, and I personally hope that a lot of more venues are going that direction, and then the whole supply chain basically will follow.
Yeah.
Sandra, do you also think that it is something that governments are going to keep an eye on and maybe going to set rules as far as this
Well, they
goes?
do it already. So from the United Nations through the European nation, we see already that the true cost accounting norm will be set up, because everybody, let's say it like that, the companies who are producing the most waste, they have to pay the most tax. That will be the same solution to cover it. So that means that a lot of people now are trying to find out, okay, how shall I reduce my waste? Or rather, bringing something back to the environment or changing, for instance, my raw materials.
Yeah.
So you see also in plastics, and Umberto, you know it, the bioplastics now from the biopolymers instead of the raw materials from oil. I don't know what your experience with that is.
But when it comes to specifically that point, this is a very interesting one because it meets one of our, let's say, directions for sustainability, the circularity, let's say, that we are trying to bring in the industry, working along with our suppliers and partners, and also what the expertise in the chemical industry that we know that we have is bringing us to look more and more towards, let's say, raw materials which are either recycled or bio-based. And these we wanted to grow in our pipeline. Our CapEx decisions will be also, let's say, scrutined on this specific aspect, and we wanted definitely to generate a higher revenue from materials which are, let's say, bio or recycled material source. For us, it's extremely important that this is something that within all our business we are looking more and more carefully, because we know that this is the direction that we want to take, and we know that this is the direction that our also customers are asking us, which is not just producing, consuming less, let's say reducing our impact CO2 emissions, but is also providing materials which are more bio-based or recycled. So we are really creating partnerships along the entire value chain, and this is interesting because this is a point that we just addressed for the events, to make sure that all together we can make this transformation, which cannot just come from a company alone. Absolutely impossible. So we need to put all our expertises together and partner in that. It's a collective effort.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so it will have also, let's say, for you as a company internally, it will have quite some impact, I guess, no?
It has some impact because, as I said, this is a switch of mindset. So this is something that we are really, let's say, pushing also internally, because sustainability is now at the core of our commitments with our operations. So basically, and sustainability is good for the planet, but is also good for the pocket, for the business. So we know that the two things go alongside. So this is definitely a kind of direction we want to take for both the reasons. And as I said before, as I mentioned, that this is where our CapEx, let's say, investments are going. So this is the only way we want to operate in the industry. We want to make sure that we leave to our legacy a better world. So and as I said in the beginning during my introduction, we believe that, say, chemistry is the mother of all industries. Nothing, which is true. It's true, because nothing can exist without it.
Yeah, that's true.
If you believe it or not. Yeah. So we have probably an even higher, let's say, responsibilities, because we can definitely help the transformation to happen. So it is something that for us is really our North Star. I can absolutely say it.
Yeah. Well, one nice thing which belongs also to that this changeable thoughts is this holistic way of looking to your chain and to your area. But besides that, we see also that in terms of using industries which are necessary to change the whole world. That means also for the event sector, it's nearly also a problem, of course, because this is nothing. It's not the primary necessary good which we need. It's a form of entertainment, it's experience, it's excitement. So in that case, it's more that we are using it, but it's not so necessary for the planet. So at the other hand, you have also a big opportunity, because you can use, to mention all the people together, you can use it also to have a dialogue with the consumer. And in this case, the lowest consumer is very important by that. The nice thing is that when you are using it to have all these problems together and find out also the solutions, that you get it more as a design property. So that you are bringing it in like a dialogue and looking more to nature. Like we are entering also the world of biomimicry, imitating nature. Maybe that could be a goal also for the event sector. Besides that, looking to biodesign, working together with enzymes and bacteria to solve a problem. So you have a lot of things, and especially biophilia, which has 14 principles, which are the main influence of the atmosphere factoring, which you have. There are a lot of scientifically designed opportunities nowadays to use and to imitate, actually, and use nature, Mother Nature's world, as a baseline to develop your own new concepts, products, change, whatever. So that's why we are using that also with the blue economy. Don't understand me wrong, Umberto, but the oil chain, of course, has to move to the bio-based side, so to the nature side. Otherwise, we never can solve our plastic soup, for instance, in the oceans.
Yeah, that's true. So it's, let's say, this challenge also, gives us new opportunities then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, what I, for instance, experience with a lot of customers is that they are a little bit hesitating to be completely sustainable because they have the feeling it's more expensive. How is your feeling about that, Umberto and Sandra?
Because I think we all understand that sustainability is necessary, but especially in the events industry, I can also imagine that the next question is going to be, what about costs?
Mm.
But personally, I think that, I could challenge a little bit at this point, because it's true, sustainability maybe would involve, let's say, some, more daring decisions. On the other side, I think that as it is for our business, I think it has to be in the industry at all. Sustainability has to be considered as a given. I mean, it's not something that, you cannot anymore, I think, hide yourself. I'm talking generally speaking, and I'm not taking, sustainable decisions because of the cost. I think that sustainability is the only choice. It's not a matter of paying a higher price or a premium price for having something more sustainable. It has to be as such. It has to be the sustainable. You don't have to have an alternative, which is, and you don't have to pay a higher price or a premium price, because, well, you give me a sustainable, output or, product, because it is what it is nowadays required. There's no compromise. There shouldn't be any compromise on that, honestly. And this is only the way we can accelerate this transition. So, and I see it transversally among all the different industries. It is a sustainable, but, well, because it is what it is. So it's, so that is at least the view, what I'm seeing within my.
Oops, he's frozen. that happens as well. Are you back again?
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay.
My concept was ended, but that was my point about premium price and sustainability.
Yeah. Well, nowadays we see actually that it's about 15% more that the lowest consumer is willing to pay more for transparent pricing. Besides that, I think we have to mention ourselves, what we are eating now. And for you, Umberto, in Italy, I know for sure it's all about quality. But this is something which we lost in Holland, let's be honest. There's such a lot of trash which we are buying, even though when it's clothing or shoes, whatever. Yeah. And this is a big cultural thing as well. So in Italy, you see it's reducing. In that case, because they have a higher status of living. You see it also in the quality of food and all this kind of thing. So I think it has also to do a lot with the culture thing in Europe.
Oh, for sure. I think that culture is an aspect that is involved as well. But it's in my understanding, let's say from what I hear, it's a process that we are in, and I think we're getting more and more aware of it. And then, of course, we need to get the tools to improve and to change. And in, what do you think? Well, in 5 years, it's going to be different already, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As long also we're getting pushed and downly under pressure, top down. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We see it. We always think that we can do it all bottom up, but it's not true.
Yeah.
We need the government to make the rules and to put everybody under pressure, because otherwise nothing goes to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we also see, let's say, with almost all our customers, let's say the fact sustainability at some point always comes on the table.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where, what, or who it is there, and it will play a big part in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because if we want to keep this planet and have this planet for next generations and generations, then
we have to be careful with it. Huh?
yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, we are, let's say, at the end of our time slot that we got for this. So I would like to thank my guests today, and I hope that my audience has gotten a little bit more information and learned a little bit from this. So I would say thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.